for $1 down, $10 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends January 12th.
Look at my wieners now.
Brought to you by Mystic Lake.
Vikings Live Wild Card Week is presented by Mystic Lake, the official playoff partner of the Minnesota Vikings. This is Vikings Live Wild Card Week.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Vikings Live Wild Card Week. You are looking live at Mystic Lake, where Alexander Mattison, Vikings running back, will be joining us in this show as we get you set for the playoffs, because the Vikings are in, and they will take on the New York Giants. Ron Johnson joining us live in studio. And Ron, for the first time in 5 years, the Vikings have a home playoff game. How big is this to start this journey towards the Super Bowl with a home game?
Huge. I mean, when you think about the fans, that's the first part. And not only the fans from just, hey, being around, it's the defense who can really use their help.
Exactly.
So the fans normally are like, okay, let's yell, let's cheer, let's scold, chant. Now, it's going to be absolutely crazy. I think Daniel Jones is going to have a tough thing to do. Kenny Golladay, we saw, he had a decent game against the Eagles, so trying to stop him. But if they can make so much noise that the quarterback can't hear, the coach can't talk to the quarterback, you'll see coaches waste timeouts. You'll see wrong routes, wrong plays. And so that's just going to give the Vikings defense the edge. And then if they happen to fall behind, let's hope not.
Right.
We know this team can come back, and
Exactly.
these fans are going to stick around for the long haul because they know this team at any moment is like a cobra and they can strike.
They have learned their lesson. All right, coming up in this next half hour, we'll sit down with Vikings quarterback Kirk Cousins, where he discusses his breakout season. Plus, we'll go live, as you saw, to Mystic Lake, where Alexander Mattison is set to join us. And we'll have Ron dive into some of the wild card matchups this weekend, including Tom Brady. Does the GOAT have one more run with him with the Bucs? Here is the full slate on Wild Card Weekend. On Saturday, it starts with the Chargers taking on the Jaguars. Then the Seahawks are in San Francisco for the first NFC matchup. That's right here on Fox 9. Sunday, 3 games are highlighted, with the Vikings taking on the Giants at US Bank Stadium. That'll be a 3:30 kickoff right here on Fox 9. And then Monday night, they close things out with the Cowboys taking on Mr. Brady. All right, the Vikings played the Giants earlier this year, and it was a thriller at US Bank Stadium. Of course, it went right down to the walk-off by Greg Joseph, 61-yarder, franchise record. But statistically, Ron, the Giants had the edge in that game. If you look deep in the weeds there were some issues for the Vikings that first time around.
I think every team had the edge in every game. When you look at the Vikings, they are statistically one of the worst 13-win teams, and that's just statistics. But when it comes to football, you throw statistics out the window because it's all about who wants it more. You can beat me up 12 rounds in a boxing match, but if I can knock you out in that 12th, it doesn't matter. You're KO'd, and that's what the Vikings do. They're a great boxing team that, like Mike Tyson always say, every team has a plan. Every person has a plan until I punch them in the mouth, and then they can't figure it out. And that's what the Vikings do. They kind of rope-a-dope teams. They play through games. Some they're in it. Some they let teams get up on them. And then eventually Kevin O'Connell gets it going, and this defense steps up. The players all play together. They all believe in each other. And I think that's the biggest difference this year is just the cohesiveness of this unit. Josh Mattison, as we see there, now named captain, and it was given to him by a guy by the name of Brian O'Neill. So the offensive tackle, given the captain role to a special teams kind of second-string defensive back, that just shows how unified they are, because there's not a lot of offensive tackles who know the special teams players when you're starting offensive tackle. And so that just shows what Kevin O'Connell has built, and it's working.
All right, in the locker room just this afternoon, Harrison Phillips chatted about how things now change in the playoffs.
I already feel the excitement from some of the guys. They're getting in the playoffs for the first time or a long time here. And so I already feel that excitement. So you just want to try to encourage the calm before the storm as much as you can, because the night before the game, it's hard to sleep. I've been there every year. I mean, the day of the game, you get that juices flowing and stuff. So if you can delay it as much as possible, I think is the best bet.
All right, Ron, I want you to think back a year ago at this time. What happened? Mike Zimmer was gone. Rick Spielman was gone. I mean, it appeared that this team was just adrift. But Kwesi comes in, then they pick Kevin O'Connell, and all of a sudden we're sitting here only the third time in franchise history that they have a 13-plus winning season. How did O'Connell do this? Is there one thing you can point to? I know there's millions of things he's done here, but is there one thing that really jumps out to you of what he has done with his team?
Well, first of all, sometimes a new voice is what changes a team. And so let's go back to the Buccaneers that lost Tony Dungy. He was fired from the Bucs. Doesn't mean he's not a great coach. He went on to the Indianapolis Colts, turned them around, had Peyton Manning, of course, and won a Super Bowl there. So Tony Dungy just wasn't the right fit. And so I think that's where Mike Zimmer got. It became the wrong fit when you talk about some of the teaching, some of the way guys were coming up saying, hey, I don't feel like I'm playing well under this type of atmosphere. You just change the voice. And what Kevin O'Connell has done, again, he's created a true open door policy, a true, hey, be you. Kirk Cousins a year ago would never have taken off his shirt. I don't think Kirk Cousins took his shirt off at the beach. Like if the team went to the beach and Mike Zimmer was there, I don't think Kirk Cousins gets naked out there. But you put him on a plane now with some chains. He's taking his shirt off. He's wearing the glasses like he's Kirk O'Chains. And so you're starting to see a guy that came out of his shell, and you see defensive guys fight for him. You see offense when you hear former players make comments about like, oh man, so-and-so didn't really want Kirk Cousins. Well, that starts to wear on a player and a team, and then the team follows. If the coach kind of is like, I'm not sure about this quarterback, the team is going to feel that way, especially the defensive guys. Now, the fact that Kevin O'Connell is able to be a soothsayer kind of, I guess you say, and speak life into Kirk Cousins, mental health is huge, and people forget that I don't care how much money you make. We see a lot of millionaires, former players, commit suicide. Mental health is a real thing, and so if you're not being mentally taken care of, it weighs on you. And what you're seeing from Kirk Cousins now is just a weight's been lifted off of him. And if he makes a mistake, it's not the end of the world. If a kicker misses, he can still go out and make more kicks later. So hopefully the kicker doesn't miss the last kick of the year. But, I mean, Kevin O'Connell's just really just giving these guys a chance. Like, hey, you make mistakes, we're going to be there for you.
All right. Kevin O'Connell spoke to the media today talking about the playoffs. He says one of the biggest things the Vikings can't afford to do, and we've seen it all year in the second and third quarter, is those lulls. And he says there are trips into the red zone where this team cannot afford to leave points on the table.
You get in these games and it's ultra competitive, and it's a risk reward proposition a lot of times. You know, managing the game, knowing how it'll affect the other phases of your team offensively. But I feel like our offense feels confident right now that if we just go out and execute and all 11 guys do their job, the talented players we have, our quarterback, and our ability to sustain plays and generate first downs and move the football is what's most important. And then when we get down there, can we finish drives with points? I think the playoffs, a huge factor that sometimes goes unnoticed is some of those first, second, or third quarter red zone scoring opportunities. Can you finish with touchdowns as opposed to field goals and help generate the points you need to not only keep it close and make it close in the end, but try to get yourself a lead.
All right, Ron, the guys that put the points on the board usually are the quarterbacks, right? And this is the time of year where quarterbacks really can make the biggest difference. Let's start with Kirk, right? You've talked about his mental health this year and how he is feeling more at ease with himself. Statistically, he's actually had better years in the past. The numbers, the raw numbers, but he's never put together this kind of a win-loss record. What has he done differently this year, and where does he have to take his game on Sunday?
Well, he's taking the chances that normally everybody would call him check down Kirk, or Kirk's just going to check the ball down. He's taking those chances. He's also understanding the game plan a little bit. So when you think about some of the choice routes, some of the I'm going to not guess, but if the DB is inside, I'm going to throw it outside. If the DB is outside, I know you're going inside. And that's why you see him and Justin Jefferson, him and T.J. Hockenson and K.J. Osborne are on the same page. But then you see moments where like Adam Thielen looks like he ran the wrong route in the back of the end zone possibly. Right. Kirk throws it outside and kind of gives him like are you kidding me? We saw the interception, Jalen Reagor. He should have sat still, and he uncovered as if it was man. And it wasn't man. It was zone. So just sit, and Kirk throwing the ball, of course, interception. So what Kirk is learning is he's throwing the ball early. He's throwing the ball here, like to K.J. Osborne, so he can make a play. He's staying in the pocket a little bit longer, taking hits to make these big throws. But I think, honestly, he just trusts this offense. He's seen it work. He knows what he got. And at the end of the day, I mean, he has Justin Jefferson. Let's be real. Like, Justin Jefferson is a difference maker. You put Justin Jefferson on the Packers, Packers, you put Justin Jefferson on the Bears, wherever, he's going to be that guy to get you 1,800 yards. So that's also a huge help. But at the end of the day, Kevin O'Connell has created some great play design, and it's easier for Kirk to read it when the coach is working with him.
All right, now the Giants, they're going with Daniel Jones. Not as polished as Kirk, but he has been able to get the job done, especially with his legs. The rushing yardage has been impressive. I think over 700 yards. What will the Vikings have to guard against him now the second time they're going to see him?
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, it's both ways. You know what we're getting, and they know what they're getting. So it's like, again, I go back to boxers. You kind of understand. And so what Daniel Jones does well is, like you said, he runs well. He gets out the pocket. He's a guy that if you flush him out, he's not going to look for the pass. He's taking off to run. He has a great running game. So with his running game, he's able to run play action. And that's where the Vikings have to kind of sit in there a little bit, trust the front seven to make the tackle so the DBs don't get sucked up in the play action. Because now that Kenny Golladay is looking kind of healthy, that's where it gets scary, because these receivers as a group are one of the best cores as far as what Daniel Jones needs, which is we're going to run simple routes. And I think that's going to be the key to this game. Stop the simple stuff, disguise coverage, force Daniel Jones to throw. Don't let him run, which he can do right here. Force him to throw. I don't think he can beat you with his arm. Force him to throw.
All right, up next, I had a chance to sit down with Kirk Cousins to chat about his amazing season, and we try to discuss those hits he has taken this year and his mentality that he has mustered up to stand in there and deliver the ball. That and much more as we continue to count down to Wild Card Weekend.
Lake.
You're watching Vikings Live Wild Card Week, presented by Mystic Lake.
The Vikings are coming off their best season ever under Kirk Cousins' leadership. And how Kirk, wearing all those chains, may have actually brought this team closer than ever before. There have been a lot of entertaining seasons. Is this the most entertaining you've been a part of?
Certainly. When you think about the close games, the last play finishes, it has been an entertaining season. Bit of a roller coaster, a lot of wins, but I do feel like it's taken years off my life.
Usually you're like, oh boy, here we go again. And now it's like, all right, somebody's going to do something. I don't know who, but there's got to be that feeling on Sundays that someone's going to do something here.
Yeah, certainly. And when we've been down in the fourth quarter and there's still time on the clock, there's a belief that, we can come back. We've been there before. We can do it. But like you said, it could be anybody.
It's something more that has to really pull a team to become a great team. Is there something like that that's happened this year in your mind?
Well, I think winning will always bring people together.
Sure.
And so even if it's a toxic culture, but you're winning, it feels like you have good chemistry. But I do think that we have a great locker room. I think we had a great locker room when we were 500. We're a group that has played together for a while and trusts each other and believes in each other and has learned what it takes to win. And I think, we've been able to find those inches this year.
We've all seen the videos, right? And they're funny, but it had a deeper meaning, right? Because you put your guard down. This isn't my world, right? You're trying to figure out how much grills cost and what I got to get, right? But you're letting your guard down to be part of the team because this is what those guys want, and they want to include you into it. Do you
when we won at London and you have a 8 or 9 hour flight home, we're all looking for ways to make that flight enjoyable, especially after a win. And so there was a boombox blaring music, and guys are usually dressed pretty nice for away games, and so the jewelry was out, and next thing you know, it was on me, and I'm gonna lean into that and have fun with it, and we did, and I think it just continued because we kept winning, and then next week you win, the next week you win, and so you have another flight home from a game where you're putting it on, and it's just been a fun thing, and it's been again fun because it's a whole team thing.
What's worse, getting sacked or making a throw knowing you're going to get hit?
Yeah, the hits when you're delivering a throw hurt more, but when I get hit, especially like at a home game, I'll wait for the crowd's reaction, to know, like, was it a touchdown, was it a completion, was it a third down conversion, based on if the crowd gets loud. So, but there have been several this year, to Justin and to others, where you make the throw, you get hit, you're on the ground, and the crowd goes nuts, and you're thinking that's a good sign. And then you look up and try to put the pieces together. Going
into the playoffs, how different is it from a normal Sunday?
I think playoff football, it certainly ramps up. I think the sense of urgency on every snap maybe picks up a little bit. There is that added emotion, that added energy that you feel in the crowd and you feel in the way that guys are playing. When you go on the road and you go to Miami and you go to Washington and you feel like the crowd is 40-50% Vikings fans, that makes such a difference. It's such a blessing to play for a team with that kind of support.
Yeah, and he'll have plenty of support this Sunday at US Bank Stadium. All right, as we said, this is a big week for Viking fans. They get to celebrate a division championship, a home playoff game, and to help the fans make the most of it, the Vikings are hosting a playoff bar tour all around the Twin Cities, and tonight they're out at Mystic Lake. That's where we find Vikings entertainment reporter Tatum Everett. And Tatum, I hear you have a very special guest with you as well.
That I do. Helping us welcome in this Vikings playoff week is Vikings running back Alexander Mattison. Number 2, coming off a 2-touchdown performance against the Bears. You guys closed out the season 13-4. Now looking at the Giants, who you played just a couple weeks ago. How does playing that team and getting a win so recently help out in your game prep for this wild card game?
Just going into the game, you get a feel for your opponent. You have an understanding of what your opponent can bring. the personality, the play style. You've dissected this team once already, so it definitely gives us, you know, a little bit of confidence going in this game, understanding that we can prepare faster, we can prepare with a little bit more of a little bit of kick behind us, understanding that we already see a little bit of what's coming at us. Obviously, we have to go back and look at some of the stuff and some of the stuff that we did against them and some of the new players that they have on their defense that we didn't play the first time. But, yeah, it's really just something that you can really go in there and prepare full head of steam.
Several players in the locker room today said there's a certain buzz around the facility this week, and it's the first home playoff game in 5 years, your first home playoff game. What are your emotions like leading up into Sunday?
Excitement. Really excited for this opportunity we have in front of us to play another game. You know, there's not, as you can see, not a lot of teams that get the opportunity to do so. So we've earned this opportunity, and so we're just going to try and take advantage of that. That's the feel in the locker room. Everyone is excited. Everyone's just feeling extremely blessed to be in this position. So we're just going to give it our all every single day as we prepare for this game.
And when you think about it, it's a Monday night in Minnesota, and there's all these Vikings fans here ready to meet you, ready to hear what you have to say over on KFAN. What does the support mean?
Oh, it means the world. We have the best fans in the world, and I hope that they understand that we appreciate them wholeheartedly and to the fullest, and we're going to need them in U.S. Bank on Sunday. So I hope that they show up like they always do, and that times 10, because they do an amazing job, and we do have the best fans.
I have a feeling U.S. Bank Stadium will hit new record loud levels on Sunday. Thank you so much to Alexander Mattison.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right, back to you guys at Fox 9. We have been having fun out here, and the bar tour will continue. But for now, from Mystic Lake Casino, I'm Tatum Everett. Back to you guys.
All right, thanks very much. Looks like a great time. You can still go out there and join them and follow them all week. When we continue here, not only are the Vikings in a big matchup, but we'll take a look at the Cowboys and Tom Brady in Tampa. That's all next here on Fox 9.
Go to fox9.com/contests and enter the code word SKOL for your chance to win tickets to a Vikings playoff game. This is Vikings Live, Wild Card Week, presented by Mystic Lake.
Welcome back. Ron Johnson joins us now. Vikings and Giants are just one game on this wild card weekend. Another one we wanted to look at, though, is Tom Brady and the Bucs, and they are right over here, and they'll be going against the Dallas Cowboys and Dak Prescott. And you look at this matchup here, Ron.
Yeah.
I mean, for Dak Prescott, this is the one that kind of jumps out at me. 15 interceptions, and he only played 12 games so far this year.
Yeah, he's had a rough go at it. When you think about Zeke, he's been relying on the run. Also, Tony Pollard came out of nowhere with a great season. And so what Dak's going to have to do, and this is what happens, the Buccaneers, you look at Antoine Winfield Jr., you look at Murphy Bunting, they are going to have to confuse him in those safety positions. Like, they're going to have to make sure Dak doesn't understand what they're doing. And they've been doing a great job of it as of late. You look at the last 4 games. These are 2 tough teams.
All right, and how about Mr. Brady? I mean, the guy has done everything.
Yeah, you talked about this one here. 47 playoff games. I mean, the guy knows it all. You look at 39 interceptions, though. It's NFL records, but over 13,000 yards. The other thing I looked at, in the last 8 seasons, Kirk Cousins has 34,000 yards. The only person better than him is Tom Brady.
Wow.
So that's a crazy stat when you think about Kirk versus Tom Brady. But this is where Kirk is missing. Because Tom Brady, he owns that. But also at home, you look at the record. I know Dallas Cowboys are upset. They feel like they should be hosting. But it's Tom Brady's show.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. So we'll see how that one goes out. And all this week we'll be here for you. We have 4 more Vikings Wild Card Week shows. Tatum, like she said, we'll be out there in the field. She'll be at Cowboy Jack's in Bloomington tomorrow. And then Friday, the huge show. And that's when they take you out on the road, Ron. That is at the Mall of America at the Rotundra. Go to Vikings.com to find out information. Also, tomorrow we'll sit down one-on-one with Justin Jefferson. He talks about his record-setting season and where his career goes next. That's tomorrow at 6:30. Ron, thanks so much for coming in. We appreciate it.
Number Climate 360 Smart Bed. The only smart bed in the world that actively cools, warms, and effortlessly responds to both of you. Our smart sleepers get 28 minutes more restful sleep per night. Proven quality sleep, only from Sleep Number.
Tonight at 7, a favorite winter pastime that can also be dangerous and even deadly. We are looking into the spike of snowmobiling fatalities. Plus, A prosecutor caught in a lie is now under investigation, while a sexual assault suspect walks free.
She lied directly to the court.
And the push to stop price gouging in Minnesota, how some lawmakers are trying to keep some businesses on a budget.
This is Fox 9 News at 7.
A snowy winter in the Midwest means one thing is for certain: the sound of snowmobiles hitting the trails is filling the air. Trails in Minnesota and northern Wisconsin are open thanks to all of the snow we've seen. While gearing up and getting out is fun for many, it can also prove to be very dangerous. Our Rob Olson has more.
Trail conditions have been phenomenal for the most part.
On Monday afternoon on Lake Waconia, Mike Anderson and his buddy were getting in another good day of riding. Like so many snowmobilers, thrilled with the ideal conditions so close to home, a rarity in recent memory.
Best I've seen it in 10 years for sure. I mean, you can ride right here. You don't have to go anywhere, which is great.
But the great weather for the sport clouded by bad news. 6 fatalities since New Year's Eve and 3 this weekend alone. Saturday, a 64-year-old man went through the ice on Ottertail Lake. Also Saturday, a 55-year-old woman from the Twin Cities lost control and hit a tree north of Hibbing. And on Sunday, a boy who had just turned 12 also hit a tree on private land near Wabasha.
It's hard to quantify how awful it is. It's just that bad.
Skip Larson is president of the Wabasha Drift Skippers Snowmobile Club, said members of his club were among the first responders.
The local community and the snowmobile community, we're all just offering up our hopes and prayers and our thoughts to this family. We'd love to find something that we could do to help them.
Skip says the boy was learning from his father and apparently froze up when the sled accelerated. This weekend, Skip is part of teaching a youth snowmobile safety class in Wabasha.
We will definitely spend some time talking about this in class.
Skip says these incidents shouldn't put a bad light on the sport, but they are a reminder that people need to be aware of surroundings and aware of their own skill level, especially in a winter that so far has been so good, so close to home.
We'll ride up north and we go to Wisconsin a little bit. We've done the UP. But right now there's no reason to go anywhere.
The snowmobile fatalities so far in 2023 are outnumbering traffic fatalities. That number stands at 3. This is not, again, to put any kind of bad light on the sport. It is one that so many people love. And this year, so many people are getting far more chances to get out and enjoy. It is simply a reminder to keep safety in mind. Near St. Bonifacius, Rob Olson, Fox 9.
Our ethical obligations, one of the most basic ones, is that you may not lie to the court, period. And that's what happened in this case.
A major courtroom issue just days into Mary Moriarty's first term as Hennepin County attorney. A prosecutor caught lying to a judge in a felony criminal sex case. The case tossed out a defendant freed from jail, and the prosecutor